If this is the new direction DC is going, then count me in. Superman is a refreshing, bright, and interesting take on the character, and it could be the start of DC dominating the box office going forward. It's no secret that DC has had a rough decade. The past 10, even 15 years, they've been plagued with problems ranging from poor directors, bad takes on characters, bloated stories, and poor casting decisions, Ezra Miller. However, Superman looks like that could be changing. And not only changing the way that the DC is going, but also how Disney and Marvel respond. Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm a filmmaker who just directed my first feature film and a movie reviewer with over 100 movie reviews. We're going to closely examine Superman, find out what it did right, and talk about how it can influence the genre going forward. Hope. That's what the symbol on Superman's chest stands for. Hope for a protector, hope for someone who's going to do the right thing, and hope that in the face of evil, someone will stand up for the little person and the people who are too weak and too scared to fight for themselves. James Gunn's Superman is going to bring hope and has brought hope to the big screen in a way that we haven't seen from Superman in many years. The basic plot of Superman 2025, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, follows the Man of Steel as he navigates the backlash of finding out that his entire existence is based on a lie. After the Fortress of Solitude is vandalized and his dog Crypto is kidnapped, he must find the little pup and save the world from the evil Lex Luthor. All the while, Lex Luthor is seeking to thwart Superman and obtain the permission from the government of the United States to remove Superman for good. Along the way, we are treated to a whole host of characters who expand the world and open up the possibilities for plenty of film and TV shows to come. Let me be upfront and just tell you that Superman is not going to change your life. But it is a fun movie that will give you hope and will make you laugh. David Corenswet, he is Superman. He is the very essence of the character. He's optimistic, he's intelligent, he's funny, he's charming. He is the perfect casting choice for Superman, and it was so refreshing to see Superman as the character that I grew up with. The Superman in the old comics who was full of hope, who was poised to be a leader, who stood up for those who were smaller and weaker than himself, who always chose to do the right thing. This is a Superman who is full of hope, trust, and always chooses to see the good in others, even to his detriment. This is a Superman who we see being beaten down, who loses fights, and even when the world turns against him, he gets up and he chooses to be a hero. We have the pleasure of watching him save countless lives, a dog, and even a squirrel at one part. We are meant to know that Superman is good. There's going to be a generation of kids who grows up on David Corenswet's Superman as their Superman and who are inspired to do good like he does. There was a tweet I saw from a user on X recently who put it best when they said, Superman stories aren't a fantasy about how good it would be to have power. Superman stories are a fantasy about what it would be like if someone with power was good. That is such a beautiful thing and like such an emotional way of putting it. And I was very surprised by the emotional depth that this movie had. We were shown a version of Superman who is as human as he can be. We see him love, we see him cry, we see him despair. There's a moment about 2/3 of the way through the movie where Clark returns to his parents' home in Kansas, and he has a heart-to-heart with Pa Kent. He's expressing doubt because he's learned this terrible truth about his biological parents and about himself, and he's questioning, is he a good person? And how does he go forward when everything he has believed in life up until now has been a lie? And Pa Kent has some really beautiful words for Clark. He tells Clark that parents are not meant to dictate their children's lives. Parents are there to give their children the tools to learn to be themselves and to free them to make their own mistakes. And at the climax of the film, when Superman confronts Lex Luthor, Superman says to Lex, "You've always been wrong about me. I get scared, but that is being human, and that is my greatest strength." Wow. To hear that from the Man of Steel, the most powerful superhero on Earth, that his greatest strength is being human, gave me chills. So from a technical standpoint, I think that the movie is very good. The CGI is very polished. It was great to see some color in a DC universe film again, along with bright costumes, beautifully lit scenes, and some really incredible camera work from the cinematographer Henry Brown, who is part of the British Society of Cinematographers. The action sequences are thrilling, and the flying sequences are very well done. They feel unique and fresh, because we see flying sequences in all sorts of superhero movies these days. The score is reminiscent of John Williams' original Superman score, but with a little bit of a fresh and modern take, and I really enjoyed it. The supporting cast of characters is strong across the board, with Rachel Brosnahan shining as Lois Lane. She plays a vulnerable but resilient character. Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen, Wendell Pierce as Perry White, and Michaela Hoover make up the Daily Planet crew, and they have some fun scenes. Isabel Merced and Nathan Fillion play Hawkgirl and Green Lantern respectively, but they are outshone by Eddie Gathegy's Mr. Terrific, who is a new to the big screen superhero who steals the spotlight in every scene that he's in. Definitely look for more projects with him in the future, because the internet is going crazy about him, and the hype is valid. The hype is absolutely real. But the standout for me is Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. It is very rare these days that we get a true villain from a movie, much less a superhero movie. Someone who just is evil and just hates the protagonist. And Lex Luthor is a villain who is as evil as Superman is good, and he is a true foil and an antagonistic force that feels like a threat to be reckoned with, and I just appreciate that so much. But there are a few things to note that I think keep this from being a truly great movie. The first and most notable thing is the use of comedy, particularly when the comedy undercuts the dramatic moments throughout the film. This is a problem that the MCU has had for many years, and I'm not surprised that it bleeds over into this, seeing that James Gunn has just recently come from Marvel and doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. There are several moments during Superman where the drama and the emotion of the scene was undercut by a joke, and the emotion of the scene just fled when the joke happened. And it really ruined the impact that the moments otherwise could have had. The film also really trusts you to pretty intimately know the backstory of Superman, because the movie just throws you into the action without giving you much of an explanation for anything. The first act of the film is jam-packed with information that you are expected to absorb at a very rapid pace. And a lot of reviewers have talked about this already, but it feels like there is an entire movie, a prequel to this, that we were not privy to. And there are things that I wish we could have seen in this movie that are put as backstory, and we never actually get to experience them. Once we get to the second act, however, the pace slows down a bit. There's a little more time we get to know the characters. But until then, the movie proceeds at a breakneck rate to set up the world, move the plot along, and introduce you to multiple characters. Speaking of characters, there are too many of them in this film, and character relationships suffer because of it, since we have to have 4 villains for Superman, and there are 3 members of the Justice League to introduce, and there are 2 universes that we have to explore. It kind of boils down to this single issue, and that is that we do not spend much time with Clark Kent. We spend a little bit of time with Clark in the first act and a bit of the second act of the movie, but there's really only about 3 or 4 scenes that he's in. He kind of disappears after that, and I think that the relationship between Clark and the people at the Daily Planet suffer because of it, because there's very little opportunity to see him interact with Jimmy Olsen and Perry White. And we don't see Clark at his job at the Daily Planet much, if at all. And while I did appreciate getting to know the members of the Justice Gang, and they had some very interesting things, especially Mr. Terrific, I think that it would have just been stronger to cut Hawkgirl and Green Lantern out of this. Just let Mr. Terrific be in the movie, and let Superman take more of a center stage as the titular character of this movie. This is just the start of the DCU, obviously. We have a Wonder Woman movie, a new Batman movie that's coming out, Clayface movie that's going to be coming out, the Lantern show. And DC has announced that they're going to be releasing multiple movies and multiple shows every year. Only time is going to tell how that goes, because that just did not work very well for Marvel, which is what they tried once you hit phase 4 of the MCU, and the audience stopped paying attention because you had way too much that you had to keep up with, and there just was not enough time to watch all the movies and all the shows in order to keep up with things. So my hope is that DC makes a lot of content so that there's a variety of things for people to watch, but there's no necessity for you to watch all of them in order to watch something like a Justice League movie, which we'll probably be getting soon. Otherwise, I think people are going to jump off the boat pretty quickly, just like they did with the MCU. At the end of the day, James Gunn's Superman is a new reboot for the DC universe. DC has handed the reins to James Gunn, and this is the movie that is setting the tone for DC going forward. And that is a tone that I am happy about. It's a bright, cheerful universe that has hope in it, and it isn't afraid to dig in deep and explore some emotional themes and deeper themes than we've seen DC go through. And it's not afraid to show heroes in a positive light again. I think that this is the direction that DC needs right now, and in a time when Marvel is on the back foot and they're just starting to recover, this is an opportunity for DC to strike and show audiences why DC dominated so much in the late 70s and the 80s and the early 90s. This film had some really amazing emotional moments in the writing and the characters. And while there's a few minor things that I take issue with, like some of the comedic moments, there being too many characters, this was a very good film, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. It may not be a perfect movie, but there's a good chance that it is a herald for a new renaissance for the DC universe and for Warner Brothers. This is a Superman movie that I'm going to be happy to go back and watch in theaters again. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so if you could hit that subscribe button, it would really help me out. Comment what you thought of Superman and the Superman movie. Are you excited to watch DC movies going forward? What are you concerned about for DC going forward in the future with these new movies and shows that have been announced? Let me know all of your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next time.